They never failed halfway. They didn't crumble after years of toil. No, they were defeated before they ever started. Not by the world, not by the critics, but by something far more powerful, the silent assassin within doubt. Failure for most is not a dramatic collapse. It is a quiet surrender in the mind. It is the hesitation before the first move. It is the story you tell yourself when nobody's listening. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What if they laugh? And in that whisper, that tiny thought, lies the death of a dream unborn. Look around. The graveyards are filled not just with bodies, but with visions never brought to life. Books unwritten, songs unsung, businesses unbuilt, love never pursued. Because someone just like you once believed they weren't worthy of beginning. Why do most people fail before they begin? Because they misunderstand the nature of success. They think it's a lottery. They think it's reserved for the chosen. But listen to me now, there is no chosen. There is only the willing, the relentless, the ones who show up not with certainty but with courage, the ones who walk into the fire not knowing if they'll survive, only knowing they must. Henry Ford didn't know it would work. He had never built a car before he decided the world would drive one. Thomas Edison didn't stumble upon the light bulb after one experiment. He broke 1,000 filaments before one finally held its glow. They weren't lucky. They were obsessed. They were possessed by belief when the world offered none. They failed, yes, but never before they began. You see, the mind is a battlefield, and the first war is always internal. The voices you entertain become the life you manifest. And most people, they entertain the enemy. They host doubt like an honored guest. They feed fear with attention, and they call it realism. But realism, as most define it, is nothing but fear in disguise, a mask for a heart that's forgotten how to leap. Because when a person truly believes, logic bends, the impossible folds, and the world makes way. You've been told to wait, to plan, to prepare. And while preparation has its place, don't be fooled. Many use it as a hiding place, a comfortable limbo where dreams are safely out of reach, because chasing them might hurt, because failing might sting. But listen carefully. Pain is not the price. Stagnation is. The man who hesitates loses not only time, but momentum. And momentum is life's most precious currency. Without it, mountains never move, ideas never breathe, and empires remain locked inside ordinary men. Why do most people fail before they even begin? Because they wait for clarity. They wait for motivation. They wait for someone to say, "You're ready." But no one is coming. No hand will reach down and anoint you. You must crown yourself. You must stand alone in the storm and say, "This is mine to build. This is mine to begin. And even if I bleed, I will rise." That is the beginning of every great thing. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But understand this, the belief must come first. Not evidence, not proof, belief. And belief is not passive. It's not wishful thinking. It's a discipline, a decision, a daily choice to stare down fear and move anyway. The world does not give to the most talented, it gives to the most certain. Talent whispers. Conviction roars. And when you walk with conviction, doors open where there were only walls. But most people, they don't walk at all. They analyze. They compare. They scroll through lives that are curated, filtered, and staged, and then convince themselves they're not enough. Comparison, the thief of joy, yes. But more than that, the killer of momentum. Because while you watch, others build. While you wish, others work. And while you doubt, others decide. And here's the truth most run from. Success doesn't require your permission, but it does require your participation. You don't get to manifest what you won't move toward. You don't get to harvest where you never planted. So why do they fail? Because they refuse to plant. They fear the drought. They fear the weeds. They fear that even after all the work, nothing will bloom. But fear is a liar. And the greatest tragedy is not failure, it's forfeiture. The quiet giving up. The silent signing off of your own potential. You weren't born to tiptoe. You weren't born to wonder what could have been. You were born with fire in your lungs and thunder in your spirit. But somewhere along the way, you let them tame you, shrink you, train you to think small, to dream safe, to live polite. But nothing great ever came from politeness, from playing it safe, from waiting your turn. Greatness demands risk. It demands rejection. It demands that you walk alone until others catch up, that you bet on yourself when the odds don't, that you scream yes to the dream even when every echo says no. There's a reason few reach the summit, not because it's impossible, but because most never start the climb. They look up and get dizzy. They look around and get distracted. They look inside and see fear. But what if instead of asking, what if I fail, you asked, what if I fly? What if the world is waiting for you to rise? And the only thing keeping you grounded is you? They say the first step is the hardest, but that's only true when your chains are invisible. And the most binding chains aren't made of iron. They're forged from old stories, wounds you never named, words spoken over you in childhood that you still carry like gospel. You're not smart enough. You're too much. You'll never be like them. Lies, but repeated so often they became scripture. And now, even in your strongest moments, you hesitate. Not because you lack the will, but because you've mistaken someone else's limits for your truth. So let me say it loud for the broken, the doubted, the overlooked. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to apologize for your brilliance. You were never meant to fold yourself into boxes just to be accepted by people who fear their own potential. Success is not a club you get invited to. It's a battlefield where you plant your flag. And if you wait for permission, you'll be buried with your potential intact, untouched, unproven, and unfulfilled. The world does not owe you belief. You owe it to yourself. Think of Walt Disney fired for lacking imagination. Think of Oprah told she was unfit for television. Think of Lincoln failed in business, defeated in 8 elections. And yet they kept going, because they understood something simple but powerful. Failure is not the enemy. Comfort is. Comfort keeps you average. Comfort wraps around you like a blanket, while silently robbing you of every burning desire your soul ever whispered. It feels safe. It feels warm. But it's a coffin. And while you sleep in comfort, life passes you by. Because here's the real game. Those who win, they don't need certainty. They just need clarity. Clarity doesn't mean knowing every step. It means knowing your direction, your reason, your non-negotiable why. Without a clear WHY, every obstacle looks like a stop sign. With a clear why, every wall becomes a stepping stone. Most people fail before they begin because they never sat in silence long enough to ask themselves the hard questions. Who am I really? What do I burn for? What breaks my heart that I was born to heal? What mountain am I willing to die on? And if you haven't answered that truly, then you're not ready to win. Because power without purpose is just noise. Movement without meaning is just motion. But when purpose aligns with action, you become unstoppable. That's when the late nights don't feel like sacrifice. That's when rejection doesn't deter you, it fuels you. That's when the opinions of strangers shrink beneath the gravity of your vision. Most people lose because they let the outer world drown out their inner voice. They let the news dictate their mood. They let failure define their identity. They let someone who quit on themselves tell them who they can't become. But history does not remember the doubters. It remembers the doers. The ones who chose belief over bitterness. The ones who acted while others analyzed. The ones who said yes to the mountain when they still had blisters from the valley. You see, every excuse you've clung to someone else has already faced it and won. Poor? So was Andrew Carnegie. Uneducated? So was Edison. Broken home? So was Malcolm X. Rejected, outcast, misunderstood? That's the starting point of every great transformation. The difference isn't in circumstance. It's in resolve. It's in the decision to stop waiting, to stop begging, to stop blaming, and instead say with conviction, if I must be the one, then so be it. Because power doesn't come to the passive. It doesn't come to the polite. It comes to the person who refuses to be denied. The person who chooses growth over gossip, vision over victimhood, and grit over glamour. And let me tell you this, once you begin, truly begin, the world shifts. People show up. Doors appear. Not because the universe suddenly favors you, but because you finally favored yourself. That first real decision, to act, to step out, to show up, that is the axis on which your life will turn. It's the unseen moment history hinges on, and no one else can make it for you. No mentor, no lover, no parent. It's yours. You can read all the books, watch every video, listen to every guru on earth, but until you rise, none of it matters. Until your faith becomes movement, you're still asleep. But the second you move, even with fear, even with uncertainty, even with trembling hands, you are no longer who you were. You are becoming. And that's all it takes. Not perfection, not polish, just decision. The decision to begin, and then begin again tomorrow, and again the next day, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps, even when the results haven't shown up yet. Because success isn't loud at first. It's the quiet hours, the unseen practice, the uncelebrated days of showing up when it would be easier to disappear. And that is where most people fail. Not because they didn't have what it takes, but because they refused to take what they had and run with it. They waited, hesitated, let life talk them out of themselves. But not you, not anymore. So now we talk about hunger. Not the kind that asks for food, the kind that screams from the soul. The kind that wakes you in the middle of the night with an ache so loud even sleep becomes a stranger. The kind of hunger that can't be bought, taught, or borrowed. It's earned, forged in the fire of frustration, sharpened by disappointment, and made unbreakable by every no life has ever thrown at you. That hunger, the one you keep trying to silence with distractions, with comfort, with later, it doesn't go away. It waits. It watches. And when the excuses grow quiet enough, it roars. But most people, they learn to live without it. They sedate their desire with distractions, numb their purpose with procrastination. They scroll past their potential like it's just another ad they'll never click. But hunger, true hunger, it doesn't scroll. It doesn't settle. It doesn't wait for the perfect timing, because it knows. Timing is a myth made by the timid. The hungry don't wait for the door to open. They kick it down. They don't ask if they're qualified. They qualify themselves through fire. And here's the secret they never told you in school. Nobody cares about your potential. The world only responds to proof. And proof requires pursuit. Relentless pursuit. You think Steve Jobs changed the world because he waited for approval? He got rejected from his own company. Came back anyway. Why? Because the vision was louder than the rejection. Because the hunger was greater than the humiliation. You think Beyoncé reigns because of talent alone? It was rehearsals until dawn. It was discipline when nobody was watching. It was the refusal to be average when average was easy. And you were born with the same raw materials. A heart, a mind, a will, and time. That's the formula. What you do with it, that's the difference. So let's talk about will. Not the kind you write when you die. The kind you need to live. Will is what gets you up when motivation is dead. Will is what makes you take the stairs when the elevator is broken and everyone else is complaining. Will is what walks into the rain, the ridicule, the rejection, and doesn't flinch. But will cannot be inherited. It must be chosen. Every single day. Even when you're tired. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Most people fail because they think the pain means stop. But in reality, pain is the compass. Pain means growth is happening. Pain means weakness is leaving the body. Pain means you've arrived at the edge of your comfort. And beyond that edge is your evolution. This is where the average turn back, but not the legend. The legend leans in. Because the fire doesn't burn him, it builds him. And here's what nobody wants to hear. The process is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to test you. It's supposed to break what's weak in you so what's strong can survive. The problem is, most people live their entire lives avoiding the very thing that will set them free. Struggle. But struggle is not the enemy. Staying the same is. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly by reading about flight. It enters the cocoon. Dark, lonely, silent, and it breaks itself apart. Because transformation always feels like destruction at first. But those who endure it rise. You say you want to be great, but do you want to hurt for it? You say you want legacy, but are you willing to be lonely for it? You say you want freedom, but will you fight for it when no one sees the battle? Because here's the ultimate truth. There is no magic, no shortcut, no chosen one, just choice. Yours, and every single day you choose. To begin or to bow out, to rise or to rot, to move or to make another excuse. The battlefield is silent, but your future is screaming. The question is not, will you fail? Because failure is part of the deal. The question is, will you finish? Will you become unshakable in the face of storms? Will you continue even when the applause fades? Will you build even when no one believes? Because here's the paradox. You won't succeed unless you're willing to fail. Big, ugly, publicly. But every failure, if you let it, is feedback. Every fall is fuel. Every no is a map toward your yes. And while others stop at failure, the greats collect it. They turn it into brick. And they build empires. The reason most people fail before they begin is because they want the promise without the price. But if you want the crown, you must carry the cross. If you want the throne, you must conquer the battlefield within. You must be willing to look foolish, to be misunderstood, to be underestimated, and still show up, again and again, until one day the world can no longer ignore the fire that refused to go out. And this is where faith enters. Not the kind you find in books, the kind that lives in your bones when the plan falls apart, when nothing makes sense, when your bank account is empty, your friends don't understand, and your results still haven't arrived. That kind of faith is not fragile. It doesn't need evidence. It doesn't ask for signs. It just knows that you weren't given this vision to watch it die inside you. Faith is the bridge between your current reality and your higher destiny. And most people, they won't cross it because they want guarantees. They want the whole staircase before they take the first step. But faith says, step, even if you can't see the ground yet. Step, because your future is already written, but only revealed to those who dare to move. Faith is the fuel of the unbreakable, the armor of the unreasonable. It is what makes a man build an ark in a drought. It is what made Mandela believe in freedom behind bars. It is what made Helen Keller see more with no sight than most do with perfect vision. Faith does not whisper. It roars, and it says, I will not quit. I will not bend. I will not live a life of almost. And if you listen closely, deep beneath the noise, the fear, the doubt, that roar is already inside you, waiting, begging to be heard. But first, you must quiet the world. Turn off the opinions. Turn down the doubt and tune into your own fire. Because clarity doesn't come from talking, it comes from walking. It comes from moving through the fog until the sun burns it away. You don't need to know how it ends. You just need to decide. It begins with you. Discipline will carry you where motivation cannot. And most people, they keep waiting to feel ready. But readiness is not a feeling. It's a commitment. Discipline is doing what must be done even when no one is watching. Even when the bed is warm. Even when the applause is gone. Even when it hurts. Because true warriors are made in repetition. Brick by brick. One small decision stacked on another. You don't become great all at once. You become great when no one sees it happening. When the world is asleep and you're grinding. When your hands are bleeding and you're still building. When your heart is breaking and you're still believing. Discipline is boring. That's why most won't do it. They chase highs. They chase hacks. But success is not sexy. It's quiet. It's daily. It's uncelebrated. It's lonely. But discipline is the difference between dreams and regret. Because in the end, pain is inevitable. The pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. One will make you bleed. The other will make you rot. And yet still even now, many will choose the rot. Because it's familiar. Because it's easy. Because they think tomorrow is promised. But one day, there won't be another sunrise. One day, your breath will leave and never return. And on that day, the only thing that will matter is this. Did you build what you were here to build? Did you become who you were meant to become? Or did you let the fire die while pretending to be realistic? Don't be the one who looks back with shaking hands whispering, I could have, I should have. Burn those words now. Replace them with, I did, I became, I rose. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break through. You are not here to chase comfort. You are here to carry light into dark places. You are not here to follow. You are here to forge the path others will follow. But none of that happens until you begin. Truly begin. With fire. With defiance. With an oath to yourself. I will not fail before I begin. I will not bury my gifts under fear. I will not go quietly into mediocrity. I will rise, even if I rise alone. Because here's what they'll never teach you in school. You don't need 100 chances. You don't need the perfect moment. You need just one decision, fully made, unshakably kept, daily honored. That decision to begin with, everything you have, that's the moment your old life ends, and your true life begins. The battlefield isn't out there. It's in your head, and the war is simple. Will you rise, or will you run? The enemy isn't failure. It's surrender. The threat isn't the world. It's the story you tell yourself about what you can't be. Change that story, and you change your future. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Now listen. There's a moment in every life when the noise fades, when the crowd goes quiet, when the opinions stop mattering, and you're left staring at your own reflection. No filters, no masks, no more hiding. That moment, it's not at the top of the mountain. It's not on the stage with the lights and the cheers. It comes before, when you're standing at the edge of the life you've known and the life you've always wanted. And in that moment, there is no one to blame, no one to beg, no one to save you. It's you, just you, and a single question echoing from the core of your being. Are you going to stay, or are you going to rise? This is the line most never cross. Not because they can't, but because they never make the leap. They pace at the edge. They talk about it. They dream about it. They even convince themselves that thinking about success is the same as claiming it. But dreaming is not doing. Hoping is not becoming. And intention is not transformation. At some point, you either leap or you linger. You either burn the bridge behind you or you keep walking back to safety. You either become the warrior of your own legend or you die in the story someone else wrote for you. And don't be fooled. The enemy will come. In the form of distractions. In the form of doubt. In the form of people you love whispering, "Don't go too far. Don't aim too high. Don't forget where you came from." But you must remember, you were not born to stay where you came from. You were born to evolve beyond it. You are not here to fit in. You are here to set fire to limits. You are not here to repeat what's been done. You are here to redefine what's possible. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not a victim of your past. You are the architect of your future. But only if you claim it. Only if you begin. And so I ask you now, what are you waiting for? Permission? You already have it. Perfection? It doesn't exist. A sign? This is it. This is the knock on the door of your destiny. This is the alarm clock for your potential. This is the moment most people sleep through. But not you. Not now. Not anymore. From this moment forward, you begin. You rise. You take the first step, bleeding, trembling, defiant, but you take it. And then the next, and the next, until your feet remember how to fly, until your voice becomes thunder, until your soul is so alive, so unstoppable, so on fire, that the world has no choice but to recognize what you've always known. You were never meant to fail. You were meant to forge greatness from fire, to build something that outlives you, to wake up a world asleep in its own doubt. But first you begin. Begin with whatever you have. Begin, even if your hands shake. Begin, even if your heart breaks. Begin before you're ready. Begin now. Because the greatest tragedy, the true failure, is not falling. It's never starting at all. And that will never be your story again.